Hello again, Internet. So today I wanted to talk about 3 or 4 small mistakes that I see in One Piece. And this isn't to take away anything from Oda. I think One Piece is a brilliant work of art, one of the greatest stories ever told, and the writing and the drawing are wonderful. And I don't see so many plot mistakes as more aesthetics, and really it's about character design. So I just want to talk about, especially after the New World, or after the time skip in the New World, there are just a few character design points that I have a problem with. Not a problem so much as I think it would be better if he had kept some things the same. So the 3 main things I want to talk about are Usopp's goggles, Chopper's hat, and the X's on their arms um, from the Alabasta arc. And I'll get to all of those in detail in a minute. So let's start with Usopp's goggles. So if you remember in Rogue Town, when Usopp first got the goggles, he bought them from a gift shop because they fit exactly what he needed, and he needed new goggles that could help him see farther distances. But then he was gonna get them, and Daddy, his daughter, got them first. So then Usopp challenged Daddy in order to get them. And this became a big development for Usopp because he learned that Daddy had fought against his father, Yasopp, and Yasopp had beaten him badly. And Usopp originally in the duel ran away from it and got scared. And if you remember, Usopp's goal is to prove that he's a brave warrior of the sea. And he couldn't do that. He ran away. But then he re-challenged the guy. He re-challenged Daddy to get the goggles. Or this time, just to prove his bravery. And he won flat out. He shot through the whale weather main, and Daddy's daughter gave Usopp the goggles, even though that wasn't what the challenge was for. And Daddy said to him, if you keep acting like this, you'll be greater than your dad at some point, if you remember the courage that you learned this day. And so those goggles were important to Usopp. It was his connection to his dad, kind of, and his reminder that he could be brave if he tried. I think Oda taking those goggles away was a mistake. Now, Oda doesn't make many mistakes, and everything he does usually has a purpose. So what I'm hoping for is that we'll get a flashback to Usopp's training during the 2 years, and we'll see why the new goggles are just important, or how he lost the old goggles or something. Because otherwise, I think Oda made a mistake, and I think he should have let Usopp keep those goggles because they weren't as important as Luffy's straw hat, but they were important to Usopp, and they kind of showed him the way. So that's the first one. And the second one is Chopper's hat. And so Oda has, if you don't remember, the doctor gave Chopper the pink hat with the X. And Chopper always wore this, and it was kind of his connection again to the doctor who raised him and who taught him about life. And so the hat was really important to Chopper, and it was kind of the same as Luffy's straw hat or Usopp's goggles. It was his connection to the man who raised him, and it kind of showed him the way, because the doctor had always told Chopper, go out to sea, make friends, and he finally did. And now Oda has said that Chopper's still wearing the hat, and he just added the blue helmet on top of the hat. But again, if we don't see that in a flashback to the time skip, I think it was a mistake. I think it needs to be outlined that it's still the same hat because the hat was important. If we look at One Piece, it's about more than the journey. It's about the characters evolving, and it's about showing where they came from and how they change to where they are now. And so these pieces are supposed to tie them back to where they came from, these articles of clothing. And so if Chopper loses the hat or doesn't have the hat, he's not tied back to the doctor. So we need some way to keep him tied back so that when we reach the end, we see his development. Like, it's the same as with Zoro's sword. Zoro borrowed that sword, or took the sword, in order to show him the way. And the same with Luffy's hat. Shanks gave Luffy the hat in order to show Luffy the way to becoming a great man and a great pirate. And I don't think Oda should have messed with the goggles or Chopper's hat, just like he hasn't messed with the straw hat or with Zoro's sword. And then the third one, and if I have time, I'll talk about the fourth one that I just think is kind of interesting, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about. I haven't seen anyone talk about this third one either. So if you remember in Alabasta, they put on their left arms, they put the X's, and then wrapped it up, and that was their signal that they were friendly, in case Bonchan decided to switch into one of them, and which did happen. He switched into Sanji and tried to fool Vivi. And so these were marks of their friendships. And when they left Alabasta, they all held up their arms with the X's on it to show Vivi that, yeah, we're still gonna be friends. Like, the next time you see us, we're still gonna have these and we're still gonna be friends. But Oda didn't keep the X's. I think Oda should have kept the X's. And I think it's gonna become increasingly important as Luffy's fleet grows. Because we see with his fleet captains, Luffy didn't accept these guys. They joined on their own. But if Oda had kept the X's, then we would know the difference between the people Luffy accepted and the people that just want to help Luffy. And so anyone that joined the crew, the official crew on the Sunny, would get an X. And it would work like with the Whitebeard pirates having the cross with the mustache. And it would show their connection. It would be his simplified version of his Jolly Roger. Even though it had nothing to do with his Jolly Roger, it would just show their eternal friendship. And even if more crew members didn't get it, we're going to see Vivi again. They're going to see Vivi. And they should have the mark. Because that was their promise to Vivi, that if anyone saw that mark, if there was an X on their forearm, they're friends. And so I think Oda made a mistake in getting rid of those. I think he should have had them all keep them, so that at the end of the story, or whenever they see Vivi again, they can show the X's and prove, look, Vivi, we're still your friends. Because I'll talk about in another video how I think One Piece is going to play out and why it's important that they can show who's their friend. Not physically, but I think the world's going to be divided between the world government side and the pirate side in an all-out battle. And I'll talk about it more in another video. But if you watch that video, you'll understand why it's important for Luffy to prove who his friends are. And then the fourth thing, since I have time, it's just kind of a silly thing that I thought of. Wouldn't it have been cool if Law had a scalpel instead of that giant sword? I think that'd be pretty cool if Law was just there twirling a scalpel in his hands instead of sitting there holding this giant sword. Because Law's supposed to be a doctor, and it would make him seem so much more badass if he could cut like he does, but with a tiny little scalpel instead of a giant sword. And also because it would change the dynamic, because Law, like Doflamingo even said, Law's sword play is incomparable. But that means that Zoro might have to beat him someday to prove that he's a better swordsman. I don't think Oda's going to do that, but if you're saying Law swordplay is becoming so great because of his devil fruit and stuff, and because of his new skills, then you're basically setting up a fight between Zoro and Law, and I don't think that's going to happen. So I think Law shouldn't be a swordsman. I think it would have been so cool if Oda had Law carrying a scalpel instead, because Law is a doctor, and his Obi Obi no Mi lets him use basically scalpeling to cut things. Anyway, so those are my small changes or mistakes that I kind of saw in One Piece that I think Oda should have changed or shouldn't have not changed more so. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, stay classy, Internet.